I've been here for 20 years, just over 20 years. Joined Westminster in the year 2001. So eventually I was persuaded to become our communications officer.
I've been working for Westminster about 20 years. I joined the Unison. Before that, I was a teacher, so I was a member of the National Union of Teachers. I've always been a union activist and I've always been supported the union. I grew up in a union family. My mother was a nurse and she's always been in the union, and so throughout my teaching career, I was a trade unionist, and so when I heard about Westminster Unison and what they were doing and how they were organised, and I thought, oh, we need to join. So I switched over to Unison, and I've been there ever since, over nearly 20 years.
I first came to Westminster in 2019 as a national management trainee, and now I'm a communities manager working with the local charity sector. I joined Unison because I wanted to be a union activist and support staff issues, to support employees going through difficult times. And I became increasingly more involved because I wanted to focus on equalities issues within the organisation that are affecting staff at all levels.
I joined Unison because I was working with the union and with other groups for about 5 years. We moved City Hall, we did loads of things with Lytton Grove, we did a lot of work with the union, and they'd been sort of badgering me, if you like, for a few years. And the time was right a few years ago, and I joined and been with the union since.
I'm a steward at Unison and I currently work at Westminster City Council. I joined Unison because I knew that when I joined the council I wanted to be part of a union, and Unison was there, and I knew it would help me negotiate better terms, conditions and pay for me and my colleagues if I needed it, and that if I was ever in need of support, I know it would be there for me.
I joined Westminster Council a long time ago, and a few weeks after I joined Unison. I joined Westminster Unison because because I know they'll come in, they will support me with my situation at work because I'm disabled, and mostly the disabled people cannot work. They try to work, but the people who employ them won't employ them.
I decided to join Westminster Union when I came here when I was about 19 years of age. And my reason for joining it was I'd read quite a lot about unions, and I particularly liked at the time the support the Unison was offering when you're 19 years of age, your first sort of real working job in a difficult environment it can be, and very, very scary, and you can be quite nervous. And what I liked about Unison, they gave me a listening ear.
I am the chair of the Westminster branch of Unison and also the International Relations Officer. I joined Unison a few years back when I just felt that it was an important organisation to think about the welfare and the work of all the people that were engaged in this organisation, and the idea of representing them and supporting them through problems they may have regarding discipline, sickness, grievance procedures, etc.
Westminster Unison has got the majority of our members are women, and in the bigger cities we've got diverse communities from Black, Asian and other ethnic minorities. Westminster as a whole, we have 147 different languages spoken, and slowly but surely Westminster is moving towards having a diverse workforce of which we represent. 50% of our members are outsourced. A large proportion are with places like Veolia, NSL, who looks after our parking, etc. But we've also got members everywhere in Westminster, and also people who work in as far as Scotland, who are part of our outsourced team. I think since the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, 2010, people have been more focused on their own jobs and their own work, and have not been prepared to put in the time that used to happen in terms of looking after everyone else and each other.
Being an activist in Unison, you have the opportunity to undergo a 6-week stewardship training where you learn everything from the individual grievance and disciplinary issues that might occur in the workplace, and also the collective issues that affect the workforce as a whole. And that's a really good foundation for going on to do further activist work in the branch. And then we also have moments where we collectively come together as a branch and we share the issues that have arisen in our departments or from our colleagues, and those take place on a monthly basis, so there's always an opportunity to check in with other comrades.
In terms of what Unison does for younger members, part of it is creating a community of younger workers that want to help improve workplace conditions, and that's something I've really benefited from in terms of meeting other young people and understanding and seeing the value in coming together to try and make workplaces better for everybody. I think that's one of the key things, but it is also that as a young person at the start of your career, you are in a more precarious position with employment, and having the knowledge that Unison is there to support you in case something does go awry is a really beneficial part of it for me too.
The values of joining the Unison branch at Westminster is that I feel it is actually an organisation which is a union that comes together and gives strength to be able to assist members of staff who are at difficult times or are going through lots of financial issues at the moment. People find great difficulty regarding their finances, and that the Unison at Westminster is an organisation that people can come to for assistance should they need it.
I think the biggest thing that we face at the moment is looking after our disabled staff. We're seeing lots of our disabled staff being disciplined for things that we believe they should be supported for. So particularly people who are neurodiverse. If you had someone who was blind and they brought in their guide dog, no one would say anything. But someone who's neurodiverse and needs reasonable adjustments, we're not seeing those put in place as quickly as we would expect.
Unison has helped me because I'm no longer 19, I'm a lot older now, and I have found I have developed a number of health issues. I've also got some mental health issues, and I have experienced quite a lot of discrimination. What's been really helpful is when I was in my 40s, I've worked in virtually every department in this council. I temped for many years. I only got permanent in 2008, and when they were going to make me permanent, they basically wanted to get rid of me. I went to Unison and I said, I've got some concerns. I think this is what's going to be happening. They empowered me for the interview process. That allowed me to go to a senior manager and actually say, I know my rights, I know what's actually going on. I don't want the other manager on the panel because of the experiences I've had with him. I was able to get my job.
They helped me a lot because when I was going through a reorganisation, they haven't put reasonable adjustments on my interview, and I just missed out by 1 point, and I went to the Unison rep and they told me step by step what to do in order to reasonable adjustments and to take it further.
So there is a huge lack of understanding in terms of neurodiversity. We are working with Human Resources, the organisation development team, to roll out a package of training, and I think that training is absolutely second to none. And so I think over the next couple of years we will see big improvements with management and staff who actually understand the needs of people with various neurodiverse conditions. Before the pandemic started, we wrote to the Chief Executive and said that we are expecting this pandemic to happen. We asked for a silver group to be set up, which would be all of the different departments coming together to meet to address things that would be particular to them. We talked about lockdown long before anyone knew what lockdown meant, and some of the things that we did, we made the first masks that were ever used in Westminster City Council. We gave them out freely. We supported people with their mental health problems. We supported people with ensuring that they had the correct equipment when they were working from home, disabled chairs, etc. We were very, very active ensuring when masks were rolled out to frontline staff as a whole, that they were in position, including things that were done by our excellent other branch secretary, Neil Humphreys, who ensured that hand gel was in places that they should have been, working with staff members here.
As the Equalities Officer for Westminster Unison, in the next 1 to 2 years, I'd like to see the pay gap completely close, both the disability pay gap, ethnicity and gender pay gaps in particular. I'd also like to see more genuine understanding between managers and employees when it comes to extenuating circumstances, mental health issues in particularly among employees, and more reasonable adjustments being made for employees who are facing these circumstances. And also more collaboration, I think, between all staff when it comes to reaching viable solutions for everybody.
Westminster has got a large number of staff networks. The women's networks, during the pandemic, we helped them with their art project. We've also supported in getting period products into all of the Westminster Council buildings.
Westminster Unison this year, for example, has engaged an awful lot in local community projects. We've worked very closely with the Paddington Arts movement, Illuminas. We work with them very closely on Notting Hill, and also we've had Windrush Premier, which has worked with a lot of the Global Majority Network from what they're putting forward. So Notting Hill and Pride. Pride was also an event which Westminster Unison supported fully and engaged with.
As a member of the LGBT+ community, I think I'm aware of how many people suffer discrimination at work, and I know that Unison is doing loads of work to support LGBT+ workers, and that it would be there for me if I ever did experience harassment or discrimination in the workplace, and indeed is there to help me advocate for myself and other LGBT+ colleagues in the workplace. Also, as a young person, I know that Unison will be there to support me as I grow through my career and help me develop in terms of opportunities, and help me as I establish myself in a slightly more precarious position.
We've been working with those networks for many years, and we listen to what they say and we support them in terms of what they want to deliver. People think that if you are active in the union, it might affect your career, but on the contrary, it enhances your career. You learn everything about how the council as a whole works. You learn about the policies and procedures that any manager would have to implement, and you learn to work with how people communicate with each other. So I think it's something that also is really good for you in terms of doing good for your fellow members of staff.
Unison is definitely value for money, number one. When I was 19, it was hard for me to have a voice. There wasn't confidence there. They gave me, just by being with them and having a mentor, and also coming along to disciplinaries with me, explaining my rights. I would never have been able to do that without Unison. When I had legal problems later in my life, Unison were able to get me legal support, which was invaluable. And that's one of my reasons that I would mention the value. The other values, I will say, if you are particularly suffering with any kind of health problem, or you yourself are a carer, or you're in a team where you are being discriminated against, you don't possibly know why, might be the colour of your hair, we've no idea what it is, Unison are there. They're always there for you. They will listen to you. They will advise you. They care for you. They support you. They have many, many fantastic causes out there. And what I particularly like is that they're at the forefront of everything.
So to me, the value of joining Westminster Unison has been, again, not only the tangible things that I have had to use, I have had to take advice, I have needed support in restructuring and other issues. But it's a safety net, it's an insurance policy. I have never had to use legal representation, but I know if I needed to, that Unison would assist with that, provide me with a good support. I think it's great value. I do. It's it's almost a no-brainer to me.
For me personally, the union have your back to say if you're not certain that work is, if you're not certain how work is progressing and how work is treating you, you go to the union and they will help you. You tell them what you think, and they will advise you what to do and what not, and the next step.
I think being part of Unison is value for money in that there is such a wide range of services that you can access, and even if you're not accessing them right now, you never know when you might need to.
The value that I place on becoming a member of the union is around having the security of a group and movement of people behind me when I need support or guidance on any issue in the workplace, and also the opportunity to become more active as an activist in creating a fairer workplace.
The value of Unison on a personal level is for me is that when something happens, it's like insurance. You hope you never need it or ever need to use it. But when something happens, you're glad you had it. And so the cost I don't see as a problem because Unison was there for me when I needed them most. I could never have done this on my own. I could never have won my case or even pursued a case, much less to victory. Without Unison, they were able to help me and advise me and take on my case for me, which if I had to take out a private lawsuit or employ solicitors, it would have cost me a hell of a lot more. So Unison was there for me, Unison helped me, and so for me the value of Unison is not so much the cost. As I said, it's like insurance. It's always a backup. But also, apart from personally, it's also I've been part of a group, a community, a social group in some sense, and that to me is also very valuable.
The benefits of joining Westminster Unison is that you will, as a member of staff and a member of Unison, always feel that you'll be supported by people who work within the branch and stewards who will be dotted around and working in various different departments of the council, and you will feel supported through any grievance procedure in which you're entitled to have a Unison member with you, or discipline procedure. You're entitled to have a Unison representative there, and as a trained steward we are trained up in looking at the process and in making sure that if a Unison member is in a difficult spot or feels in a difficult spot, that we can support them during that particular process all the way through, whether that finishes locally at Westminster or we have to go to region to progress a particular case.
We are all a family, and if we work together we will achieve something great. Synergy is what we believe that unions are all about. So if you're a member, ask someone else to be a member. If you're not a member, come and join. The reason why you've got the terms and conditions that you have, which are better than anywhere that's non-unionised, is because you are in a union. The reason why you have got the facilities to work from home the way you have is because of work that we have done.
I must admit, for most of the time, the 20 years or so I've been here, I've never actually needed a union on a personal basis. But recently there have been certain incidents which has occurred post-pandemic, or during the pandemic and post-pandemic, which I've needed a union more than ever before. And they're there for me, and they've been taking my case on, and it's been a major success for me. Effectively, what they've done is to take the pressure and the stress off me, and to let me know that I'm not alone. I can do all these things with their support and help. And so it's about being empowered, that you're not alone. There's an organization or some people behind you who will believe you and will champion your cause.
Unison helped me, and like the subscription isn't that much for what they do and what they help me in doing, like step by step fighting for my job.
What I would say is we are here to support, we're here to help, we're here to listen to you and to help you do what you want. So join Unison and you will be in a very strong union.
So again, I'm in debt to Unison, and I have a big smile on my face because without them, I wouldn't be here now. Thank you, Westminster Unison.
Thank you, Westminster Unison, for all you've done for me.
I would just like to say thank you, Westminster Unison.
Thank you, Westminster Unison.